Like, comment, and subscribe.
Our inheritance is turned to strangers, and our houses to aliens. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. We are drunk in our water for money, and our wood is sold unto us. Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest. We have given our hand to the Maswayan and to the Assyrian to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we are born their iniquity.
All right, Mashpaka. I'm back now. I'm finna go ahead and start on part 2. And I have some interesting things I want to show you today. Let me go ahead and pull it up on your screen. Here we go. So what we was talking about last time, as you can see, the origin of the white race. And we're reading from Elder Rudolph Winslow's book, From Babylon to Timbuktu. I have some exciting information to show y'all for those who may think that all this is just now starting thing. And also, I pray that the people who are going through troubles across this world will find some type of peace through the stuff that we're going through it on this earth today. So we stopped off up here, right here on this side of the screen, what you see. That's a alap, and it's the letter, the first letter of the Abar language, and it means an ox or cattle. So we stopped off and we was talking about the Jews and the Arabs and the Persians and the Babylonians and the Egyptians. And we spoke about that, and I will leave this inside of the on the afterwards panel of this right here. But let me go ahead and start reading. I'll leave the last video I did on the description underneath the video. Make sure that you check that out. So this right here is the origin of the white race, page 21. The Moors, they did not use the term Negro, which is a modern term, to refer to the black races of the word, or the word Caucasians to refer to the white races. So when they said Moors, they did not use the term Negro, which is a modern term, to refer to the black races, or the word Caucasian to refer to the white races. Let me skip over here, and I want to show you something real quick. This is the Paleo Hebrew. And I want to show you something. This is the book of Solomon, and then we're going to get back to what we was talking about. But there's some other things, a little gifts I have for y'all. So right here, this is the Songs of Solomon. Solomon. I used to think it was Solomon because how they got it spelled in English, as you see with the N on the end. But it's Solomon, okay? And it means peaceful. So it say right here, Shachar Ra, and that means black. Okay? Shachar Ra, and it's a ha on the end, which makes it feminine plural. Shachar Ra, well, if it had wath on the end, it'll be feminine plural, but it's Shachar Ra, black, anya, my, wa, na'awa, bana, wath, wa na'awath, banawath, beautiful, wa na'awath. They say fair, and when you say fair in English, they refer to white skin as fair. Okay, but that's not what fair That's the word for white in Hebrew is Laban. All right. It means white. And the word for black in Hebrew is shachar. All right. Shachara. That means black. But the word right here, wa, nawaba, wa, na, awa, that means beautiful. Banawath, daughters. So that's shachar, black eye, beautiful daughters. Yarashalayim, daughters. Jerusalem. So that's daughters of Jerusalem. Shachar, Anya, black eye, beautiful daughters, Zion. And it says right here, so the daughters of Zion is the daughters of Yiqwaba, Yasharal. So that's the daughters. Jacob has daughters as well, not just sons. Okay? And it says, Yah, Ra, Wa, Shalom. And that's Jerusalem. Ka, A, Halaya, Quadar. That's curtains. Quadar of Kadar. Waya, Ra, Ya'ai, Wath. Okay? And when this video, throughout this, when you look on the thumbnail of this video, you're going to see the people of Kadar, all right? And it says right here, Kaya, Raya, Iwath. That's the, so this right here is tents. And this is Kadar, Kaya, Raya, Iwath. That's tents. That's tents right here. This is curtain, my bad. And this is tents. And this is right here, Solomon. So the people of Kadar and Solomon are Shachar. Y'all see that? The daughters of Sion are Shachar. And as I showed y'all in the book of Job, Ayawab, that the people of Yasharal are Shachar. As he said, a warrior Shachar, my flesh black. All right. The sun looked upon me and I'm black. So when we look right here, race, right here, Allah, which means the word here, Allah, which means a oath. You can have an oath of a curse or an oath of allegiance to. Oath, race. So when you have an oath in this right here and not an oath in the scripture, your oath is not to Yahweh. So let's look at what race means, because we was reading inside of the book where it was talking about race. Race is a noun, not a proper noun. Plural, races. You could race a race car. People used to race back then before they started classifying people as races. And when you labeling people as different colors, you're actually participating in a racist theology. Racist, get it? Racist. The synonym of race, see usage paragraph below. Any one of the groups that humans are often divided into based on physical traits regarded as common among people of shared ancestry. It shall be an unlawful employment practice for an employer to fail or refuse to hire or discharge any individuals, or otherwise to discriminate against any individual because of such individual's race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. So that's what race mean. This is racism practice inside of this race theology. And remember, the theology came by wicked studies to denigrate the Yasharal race as a monkey or lesser than. So the white race was to be the high big boom coon, but the lower race was not to be the high big boom coon. The lower races was the black races. We go here and you see the Hebrew word to show you that it means what it say. Allah. Allah. And that means a binding agreement, including the curse for violating the oath. Now, we know that our ancestors did not willfully join this curse to call yourself racist and to be the black one and be always at the bottom. All right, we know our ancestors didn't do that, but there are people who live with ancestors that enforce and impose this. All right, though they living in what their ancestors imposed, and we're living in what our ancestors were forced to be in. All right. So a binding agreement, including the curse for violating the oath. So when you don't go along with the race thing, people get violated. See, curse for violating the oath. Now, if you go against this oath, then people will have more freedom, more peace, more liberty. But when you go with this oath of racism, then people are bound to this wicked cause. And this right here, this is a body that bound themselves to death. All right, the ones that enforce this are binding themselves to death. And as I wrote right here, Allah, and I'm gonna show you again, Allah. And this book right here that our sister Chicky History Channel shared with me, it is let me see, Light and Truth. And we're gonna get into this a little bit today, Yahweh willing. Matter of fact, let me read some of this right now for you. The ancient Arabians. So you remember when we did something on the Arabs, all right? And this book right here was written during the time of slavery by one of our ancestors. Okay, it was written, it was, I believe, when America first was established, the United States of America, this was written. And the one that wrote this was aware of the colonies, the United Colonies. But right here, this is Ath, which means sign. You go right here, the ancient Arabians. So when they say ancient, it means original Arabians. Arabs, the nations that join together. The Arabians are a people of color. So we have with the Arabians, remember what they showed you. You have the Kemetic people, and you have the Shemitic nations that joined together as a nation. And then later on, you had Yapath come down and join the Arab nations. And they call that the Islamic nations. All right, but let's look here. The Arabians, a people of color. So the people of color are the original Arabians. All right, they and the indigenous Arabians are the only people. Look at what the elder is saying now. Are the only people who have preserved their descent, their language, independence, manner. So when it says the Arabians, they preserved theirs, but the Israelites is not one of the ones that was able to preserve theirs, as the elder is showing you. So I want y'all to go to the video that I did after this is over, because I want you to go over this over and over again, but go over to that video, random and specific, and underneath that video, you'll find this information right here, which you can go and grab right here. All right. And it says, have preserved their descent, their language, independent manners. They're independent, right? And customs from the earliest age, to whom we are to look for examples of patriarchal life and habits. So when people say that those people, when they say they look more Palestinian, the Judeans look more Palestinian, this right here throws that out the window, because the Arabian nations, which is mixed up of Europeans and of Kemetic people and of Shemitic people, the Shemitic and the Kemetic people are black-skinned. And if by chance that they mix with the European people, then they look mixed, but when you have the European people in there with them, that is the Arab nations. All right, so you see that in a nation after 4 generations, as we showed you in this book and also inside the scripture. Let's look right here. Inside the scripture, that 4 generations, that's when that nation is blotted out. So if a person say, well, they've been mixing with white people or mixing with Hamites all these centuries, if they mix themselves out, then they mixed out. But if they still preserve their European, and the ones that preserve their Shemitic and the ones preserve their Hamitic, then they still dark skinned. But the ones that don't preserve it, they're getting ready to blot themselves out. Okay. So we see here the tents were first made. It is thought of skins of animals fastened to a long pole. And the Kadar people are Yashmalites. They are dark-skinned Yashmalite people. And they say where first made, it is thought of skins of animals fastened to a long pole set perpendicularly into the ground. And the covering was drawn away from the bottom of the pole so as to form a small round dwelling. Subsequently, tents were enlarged and made oblong. Tents were first invented in the family of Jubal, brother of Nach. That's the brother of Nach, and son of Lamech. The covering of the large tents were made of goat's hair and was black. So this is the fashion of the tent. This is the elder from way back when, during the time of slavery. This fact beautifully illustrates the passage in the Songs of Solomon. I am black as the tents of Kedar. Kedar was the second son of Yashmael, as I told y'all. And Yeshaya frequently personifies the Arabs under the name of Kedar. Yeshaya 20th and 6th chapter. The curtains of Shalamah was a shelter in Arabia. It was a shelter in Arabia, a cavern where the Arabian shepherds gathered their herds and flocks at night for refuge. Tents are very portable dwellings and are therefore conveniently adapted to the habits of those wandering tribes whose occupation leads them to frequent removal to different parts of the country. When they remove from one place to another, they take their tents with them, and when they stop, they erect them again. This they call pitching their tents. It appears that about the time of the Abar bondage, y'all see that? It says here in Kemet in Egyptian, or Al-Kibulanian in Egyptian, a number of the Arab tribes passed the Red Sea at the straits of Babel Mendel, and the Ludiums in ages still earlier settled in that country. I'm gonna stop right here. And I told y'all how you say confusion is Babal. Now it might be that in one of the Igbo language ways of speaking. I can't say Igbo languages. One of the Igbo ways of speaking, but it is Baal, and that means confusion. All right, so let's go up to from Babylon to Timbuktu, and we're going to go ahead and finish a little bit more of this book. The origin of the white race and Moors, they did not use the term Negro, which is a modern term, to refer to the black races or the word Caucasians to refer to white races, remember races, dividing the world along a color line was an ideal that originated with the white supremacists in Europe after the Renaissance. Right here, pause. So y'all see the Renaissance. Now, let's think about this right here. So when a person they say that they is Judeans or Yahweh, and they mock Yahweh's name and say Yahweh Washi and all the other type of stuff that they do. When they do that, what they doing is actually practicing racism. They denounce your bloodline and they pronounce the same curse over you by saying that you black or you white. All right. When they say a person is white, they put in that person as a person that's preparing themselves for the wrath of Allahayim. When they say a person is Shakar, they saying that they preparing that person for redemption, but they're in a perpetual state of not being who they is. So they not all the way whole. So a person denying who a person is saying you are black, they're putting you in a perpetual state of servitude, and they placing that curse over you. The Europeans did not have any great civilizations immediately. So understand what I'm saying. When they say that the white races, they putting themselves as Nimrod. All right. When a person call them the white races, they saying that's Nimrod. Right. When they call them their name, then they saying, okay, that's the bloodline of the people. But that still does not eradicate vindication. That still does not eradicate the judgment of Yah. Y'all see that after the fall of Greece, which is in France. Greece is found in France and Rome. Greece and France, they was the same kingdom. The children of Javan, Yawan. During the Middle Ages, the black nations of Africa and Asia had the greatest political, economical, and also I want y'all to know that Africa derives from Ophir. Ophir is a Shemitic man, not a Hamitic man. But when they say Africans, they saying Hamites. Or they saying the people that live on the continent that they call Africa, because at one time they called all of the continent Ethiopia or Kush. At one time they called the whole continent so they had a different name, Al-Kibulan. And then when Yasharal was in that land and we knew who we was, we called the lands by their names. But then when people came in to discover places, they called the land, the lots, they called it Middle East. They called it South Africa. They call it West Africa. They call it East Africa. Okay? They didn't call it by the names. They call it geographical terms. So they split the lots of Ham up into South, East, and West. All right, North. You got the North Sahara and you got the South Sahara. All right. You got the Middle East, and wherever that geographically go, then you try to figure it out. That's our geographical terms. But the names of the places, the names of the people who came down were Grecians, Romans. Y'all see that? During the Middle Ages, the Shakar, the black, as we just seen that Shalaman said, that the daughters of Sion are black. So if the women are black, and we seen that Yiqwaba said that his skin is black, then that means that they are a black race of people. And if the elder who lived during the 1700s that wrote the book Light and Truth, said that they were black, and people from ancient days said that they were black skin, then we see that calling the Israelites it don't matter and invisible is a modern construct, and it comes from the race theory. Okay, it comes from the race theory. So let's go back up here. During the Middle Ages, the black or the nigger, if you say it in Latin, I'm going to just say it in Latin so we can really understand. The nigger nations of Africa and Asia had the nigger nations of Africa and Asia had the greatest political, economical, educational, and military influence in the world at this time. You don't believe me if it say nigga? Let's go here so that people won't think I'm cussing. So that's Mecca, that's Arab. All right, let's go on down here. Let me show you where it say nigga at. Okay. I'm gonna go on down where it say nigga so we can see that I'm not just saying something. So the Negro word right here. The Negro word, Negro, is derived from the Latin term nigger. 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 That right there, if you look inside of Acts chapter 13, verse 1 in your Strong Concordance, this is pronounced with a hard E. This is also pronounced with a hard E. Nigger, meaning black. The following term definitions are in the American edition of Dr. Walker's dictionary. Moor, a marsh fiend, a Negro. Marsh fiend, a bog, a swamp, a plant. Moorish, Fini, marshy. Negro, black, Moor. And Dr. Johnson Dictionary, American edition by Reverend Joseph Hamilton, MA 18. Okay, let me go down here and I'm gonna show you about the four classifications. We'll show you about in the book of Leviticus on when you about to breed out your bloodline, and it's that is a sin against the covenant. So it don't matter what other nation you sleep with, if you do it with a dark skinned one or a light skinned one. If you flush, you spoiling your bloodline, because after the fourth generation, you're no longer in that covenant bloodline because you whited yourself out of it or you dark yourself out of it, however way you did it, right? That's why inside of the scripture, as our brother K. Judah say, that we even supposed to do within our own tribe. But since we done got to this place right now, we don't know what tribe we from or which one. All we know, if we believe in the scripture, if we have faith, as the Apostle Paul taught, if we have faith in the scriptures that says in Luke chapter 21 that Israel would be dispersed to the four corners of the earth, the curses will follow you, you disperse as captives. Moor, a black man, a marsh. Marsh, low ground. Let's go down here. So it say right here, this is what the elders say in the 1700s. Webster Dictionary of Complexion of the Skin. Is it wicked for you to properly see things, to properly assess things? He calls it the blood of Africa. Listen, even the blind man during the days of Hamashiach, before he even knew who he was, before he could even see anybody, he knew he was a child of Yasharal. So even the blind man couldn't know that he was a child of Yasharal, him being blind and asking his savior, Haban Dawad, the son of David, Yahabashai, cleanse me, heal me. He, the blind man, asked for sight. All right? But that's a different kind of sight. That's a physical sight. Now look at this right here. Mangroom is all black, which means full-blooded Negro, whole Negro. Sambo, 3/4 blood, 3/4 Negro. Mulatto is 1/2 blood, 1/2 Negro. Quadroon is 1/4 blood, 1/4 Negro. Mestizo is a 1/2 blood, a 1/2 Negro. Nigger, a Latin word for this one right here, mangroom, and all these together, nigger, Latin word was formerly used by the Moors. So if it was used by the Moors, by the blacks first, by the Moors, the Romans, by the Moors and Romans. So if the Moors was using this first to classify themselves, they was not doing it as no caste system to be perpetually cursed. They did that as a identifier, as the elder said in his book. It is the blood of Africa. Y'all see that? So they wasn't done as a sense of demoralization and animalistic classifications. It was done for elevation or for mental understanding or clarity of who you looking at. Because when they look for something, they looking for it. You looking for a zebra, a zabara. You looking for a creature that look like a horse or a donkey that's white and black. Black stripes, black and white stripes. That's what you're looking for when you're looking for a zabara. Zabara. That's how you say it in Hebrew. Zabara. When you're looking for a zabara, you're looking for black and white stripes. It identifies what you see. Your eyes judge what you see. It makes sound judgment. And if you have an impairment, you do like the blind man did and ask for your sight. But when you get your sight, he didn't say, now, banish thyself away from your identity and your mother and your father and your inheritance and everything that's about you. O thou man that asked for sight, I see no color thine. No, he didn't do that. The old Romans called them black too. To designate any black, inferior, object. So when the Moors did it, when the niggas did it, they didn't do it to objectify themselves. But when the Romans did it, who were the colonizers or the people that was discovering stuff, according to that, they did it to demoralize, to designate any black, any nigga, inferior, object, a plant, a marsh, flat, moist ground, bog, or animal. Micah the Moorishite, Micah the Moor, a prophet of the Moors, prophesied in the days of Hezekiah, king of Yahweh, and spake to all the people of Yahweh and the niggers and the Moors, saying, thus, the Negroes, the niggers, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, Sion shall be plowed like a field, and Yerushalayim shall become heaps, a forest. Micah showed the wrath of Elohim against Yiqwaba for idolatry. Jeremiah, okay, so let's, Maseroth was built by the niggers, by the Moors, by the Negroes, in the desert of Paran, in the land of Amalek, and was an ancient encampment of Yasharal in the days of Masha. In the Moorish War of Adel in Africa, see, a lot of this history get rewritten and retaught and rethought and everything, but you got to go back to the source. And if you erase all the sources, like people was doing, and like they do today, that's so that you would not understand this. So understanding this is not the crime. People erasing it is the crime. And for us not seeking for it is our own crime against our own self. Some of the books of Masha were burnt. See, they had a custom when they took over to burn the books. So they burnt the books of Masha. Do you remember in 70 AD, they was burning books? You thought about that? And then in the cave of Qumran, in the caves of Qumran, they found some of the books, but they were still burnt. They started burning them again. But let's look at here. The Europeans did not have any great civilization immediately after the fall of Greece and Rome, so they had took time to build it up. During the Middle Ages, the nigger nations of Africa and Asia had the greatest political, economic, educational, and military influence in the world. The niggers had that's why they was forcing us not to be able to read. Remember from Babylon to Timbuktu? This is what we reading about Timbuktu. They had a lot of libraries and stuff in West Africa while people had went and reestablished themselves and pitched their tents in Africa because they were exiled out of their land that they built. At this time, Europe existed in a state of darkness for 1,000 years. The Moors had to teach them how to bathe and all this stuff. In the 17th century and later, that means 1600s and later, up to the 1700s and later, Europe began to emerge out of the slough of ignorance. And certain Germans, Ashkenazim, and other conceive of themselves as belonging to a superior race. You see that? Johann F. Blumenbach, a German. We read about him. 1752, 1840. This was, and the elder that I showed y'all from Light and the Truth, the book he wrote, he lived during the time of Frederick Blumenbach. As a matter of fact, my granddad I keep telling y'all about, he grew up, he was alive when Olaudah Equiano was alive. Olaudah Equiano died around the late 1800s. All right, so my great-great-grandfather, that was my grandfather's grandfather, lived the same, that generation, because without that generation, then none of us would be here. So there was a generation of us that lived at the time of Olaudah Equiano. All right, and that was your grandfather after your great-grandfather if you was born in 1984 or 83 or 81 or whatever. If you had a great-grandfather that was up at age like mine was, that was born in the late 1800s, so if he was born in the late 1800s, when was his daddy born? And when was his grandfather born? So you look at it like that. And that's just on my mother's side. All right. 1752. I showed y'all records of a Kennedy plantation. Well, they had my daddy's side in Tipper. 1752, 1840 was the first to divide humanity on the basis of skin color. So you see that? So Blumenbach them time. Up to this time, they still do it. And they say they're not practicing it, but they still practicing it. This form of race, this form, they practicing this racism. No such attempts had been made. His classification set up a color line, and this is where Weta Galley and all that was getting ready to be changed to nigger in West Africa, from nigger to West Africa, and some of the remnants of the names still there, like Oyo, that was set up by ancestors, and also Weta, that was set up by ancestors. So a lot of these things were getting ready to be changed, and the Europeans called it Weta because they knew that it was a Judah down there. That's why I told y'all, remember to go to that video I did, random or specific, all right, to determine the latter generations. But you see how that bunch everybody in, because if the Arabs are black, and if Yasharal are black, and if the Hamites are black, then they bunch everybody in together, and they make it look like everybody just came from one black Negro. But the Zondervan Bible Dictionary said that Ham, the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negro. The elders knew. But a lot of us just not getting our foots wet. We think that we know the more than our elders knew, and we just not getting here. And if you have a generation that come up under you that think that they know more than you about what happened during Joe Biden administration, or think they know more than what happened with the Black Lives Matter administration, that grow up and they say, you don't know what you're talking about, but you lived through this. Right? Just like they lived through Jim Crow, and a lot of people act like they know more than Elder Martin Luther King and Elder Malcolm X and Elder Farrakhan and everybody else that lived it. But this elder that lived during the time of slavery, which is a witness, and the children of Yasharal that said that they are Shakar, even Shalamah, who said that the daughters of Sion are Shakar, and they said, and the daughter of Sion turned around and said that he is a nitzer, a man with locks in his head, Shalamah. And when you look at Yiqwaba, which they say is a book that's probably older than the books of Masha, that say that, behold, my skin black. But how can he be older than Masha? And how can they say that that's an Edomite? Let's think of that. Before the children of Jacob was even formed or even born. So y'all see that? So you got to see this thing the right way. That Yiqwaba was an Israelite. Yiqwaba was an Israelite. Because how can T-Man them be alive and Yiqwaba book them can be older than the books of Masha? So that is a later book that was written by a Yasharal, by an Israelite. The Caucasian, the Mongolian, the Ethiopian, the American Indians, the Malayan, moreover, he considered so they brought a lot of confusion with this race doctrine, with this new way to see the earth. The claim it, nab it, stab it, and grab it claim. All right. So this is the reason why the indigenous folk that was in America had caught hell from them. This is the reason why the children of Yasharal caught hell from them with this doctrine. But Yah had already told us in the Deuteronomy, not just in Deuteronomy 28, but you can read the book of Deuteronomy. There's another passage in it that say that this will happen in the last days. And Jeremiah will go through the videos and see it for yourself, that this will happen in the last days, that this sign will be on you. Caucasians and the original race. Blumenbach, the anthropologist. Now in our bar, they didn't call them Caucasians. That's their classification. That's their denomination for their classification. All right, so that's a different language. But in different languages, names don't change. So if I knew a man named John Smith and I spoke Arabian, I'm going to call him John Smith, and then I'm going to continue on speaking Arabic. So if I say Mashalawanka Jeffrey, if I'm talking to a brother named Jeffrey, if I say Mashalawanka Jeffrey, I'm addressing him properly. But if I say Mashalawanka Yapario or Menlindindo or whatever, I'm projecting a name on him. I'm trying to translate a name, and that's against translation law. When they say Metro PCS on the commercial, they say all the Spanish stuff, and then they say Metro PCS, because that's how you speak. You don't obliterate people's name. So Blumenbach, the anthropologist, so there's a lot of confusion that came. The anthropologist named the whites, whom they was classified as, after the Caucasian mountain, because that's where they was from. But they were not originally called whites. Remember, they the sons of Yapath. Remember, Ashkenaz, these mountains are situated between the Shakar, Caspian. So if they say the Black and Caspian Seas, it's called the Nigger and Caspian Seas. So who had that as a lot? If that was beside them, the Nigger Caspian Seas. So by the Black Caspian Seas. Because he thought that the purest white people originated there. Blumenbach was a racist. See? And so was J.A. Gobinio, a third man by the name of H.S. Chamberlain, wanted to advance the supremacy of the white Nordic race and its culture. These men attributed psychological value and importance of race. Even inside of other records, it says that Blumenbach them was psychologists. They were doing psychology on people. They was psychologically brainwashing all the world with its philosophy. And it says, to the persecution of the Judeans and Nazi of the let me stop this. Of the Jews in Nazi Germany. Now they say that they Jews, but they say that they converted to being a Jewish Nazi Germany. T.R. Garth, but let me tell you something. They wasn't the only one dying over there, because there was a lot of Negroes dying in that concentration situation, and they gave testimony that the Negroes were treated worse. T.R. Garth wrote in this book that Race Psychology 1931, and guess what? Race Psychology 1931, Garth wrote a book, Race Psychology 1931, any disposition on our part to withhold from some race the right to free and full development must be taken as an indication of. So this was going on before my granddaddy was born. 1928, my granddaddy was born, on my daddy's side. So if it was going on my daddy's side, it had to be going on my mama's side. And if it was going on with my parents, my grandparents, then it was going on with all of the parents of the freedmen and the bowmen in America and in the Caribbean and wherever else they at. Any disposition on our part to withhold from some race the right to a free and full development must be taken as an indication of rationalization on the account of race prejudice, and such attitude is inexcusable in any intelligent populace. As I have proven, the earliest civilization began. We're going to start here in North Africa. All right. We're going to start right here with the next one, if y'all are willing. I'm going to read this passage right here, and this paragraph, and I'll be done for today. But it say North Africa, the Middle East, among the black races. That's where the black race, that's where the niggas is from. The one that call themselves Black Americans and Puerto Ricans and whatever you call yourself now today. Afro, Puerto Rican, Afros, Europe, Afro-European, or you just call yourself wherever place you at. I'm American. I'm no longer this. I'm American. You put yourself in a cursed position, calling yourself something that was psychologically done to your ancestors and to your people today, and continuing to forward the affliction and making people feel like proper scholarship is bastardization of reality. North Africa and the Middle East among the black races. Read about the black Asiatics in Herbert Wins. It began in Babel. It began in Baal, a book on the origin of races. And let me stop right here. So I bookmarked this. Y'all were willing, so we can come back to this. So let me write the bar word here. That's another way of writing it, but let me write it the way I've been writing it. My bad, I wrote it the wrong way. I wrote thought. Let me say and they call that a Canaanite Hebrew, by the way. All right, Mashpaka, even though they called you Canaanite. All right, Mashpaka, I'm about to get up off of here. I thank you for coming and listening. Hope you got something out of this. Shalom.